Broadcasting live from the studios of Fox Sports Radio.
Bang, bang, won't stop till we're legends.
Here's Doug Gottlieb.
Let's catch up with the star center for the Cowboys. Travis Fredrick joins us here on the Doug Gottlieb Show. And in my arduous prep for talking to you today, I pulled up a video of you getting into a little fight. Although you didn't really get into a fight, but you got into a fight already at camp.
Yeah, well, the fighting is one of those things that comes up every once in a while. Sure. When you're constantly going against your own team. It's back and forth. Things start to get hot, and that was just one of those situations that things kind of boiled over. And like you said, I didn't really get in the fight. There were some words, and as soon as the guy took a shot, immediately somebody else, one of the other O-linemen, jumped in. So what I was telling the media the other day was that it's sort of a good team-building exercise, if anything, because as soon as I took a shot, the offensive line was in there, and then the defensive line came in to rescue their guys. So it turned into a brawl, but as long as nobody gets hurt, that can be a good thing.
Yeah, Antoine Woods is a defensive player, took a couple right-handed swings at you. Always interesting that when you take a swing at a guy with a helmet on, but he did pop you a couple of times. How's your trash talk game?
I think it's okay. It's not great. I usually try and avoid it. When guys trash talk to me, I usually try and keep it very cordial. Just knowing that it's my job to go out and play football, not talk. But I learned a lesson my rookie year. Sean Lee was trash talking me from we were doing goal line, and I wasn't talking back to him, and he pulled me aside afterwards and said, "You talk trash back to me." So I guess that I needed to learn and pick it up a little better.
You and Sean Lee, snakes apparently is what. What was that like to go What was that like to go through? Where all of a sudden, I don't know, were you at practice?
Yeah.
You were at practice, right?
I was at practice.
And Dez starts tweeting about you and Sean, and you walk back into practice, and I'm sure somebody from PR pulled you aside. Or how'd you find out about the tweets?
Yeah, actually, one of the guys was inside, wasn't practicing, and came out and mentioned it to me in the middle of practice that had occurred. And he was worried about it ruining my practice. I said, no, whatever, I'll be fine. But it was a little surprising. I will say I was surprised and a little bit disappointed.
Now you had a chance to kind of process more. People ask you about it.
Right.
What's your thoughts about Dez and what he's chosen to air and how he's chosen to air his grievances with how it ended with the Cowboys?
I think that everyone's entitled to their own opinion and has the right to broadcast that opinion if they so choose. I think he's in a difficult spot right now, obviously, not being on a team and not with us anymore. And it's unfortunate. He's a great player and a guy that's done a lot of great things for us. So it's tough when you kind of pit each other against each other or end up against each other when we were once teammates. And teammate is something that is sort of a really strong bond. So that's why I say I'm disappointed.
Well, plus, as a center, you're the leader. I mean, I think the center is probably the least discussed but most important position, especially in the offensive side of the field. I'm not just saying that because you're here, but that's because you talk to anybody and calling out the protections, the relationship you had, the symbiotic relationship you have with the other player, other offensive linemen, also with the quarterback as well. And so I do at least on this level understand the idea of, hey, look, you and Sean Lee, you guys are two leaders, offense and defense, and you didn't have my back. Is that's what he's assessing? Whether or not it's a snake or you want him to get cut, were you ever involved? Did anybody ever ask you about, from the front office perspective, your thoughts on Dez and how it fit in with the locker room?
No. Like I said before, too, I think you're going to search long and hard before you find a fifth-year player that has personnel power, or they're even asking about that. So, especially from that sort of point of view, it'd be one thing offensive line to another offensive lineman, you spend that much time together. But offensive line and wide receiver are two very different positions that I certainly could not be involved in that conversation.
In terms of schematics, Travis Fredrick joining us, star Pro Bowler, All-Pro center for the Dallas Cowboys joining us. Doug Gottlieb Show here live at Cowboys camp. In terms of schematics or play calling, there was a sense on some level that there's some truth to what he's saying in terms of the predictability of the offense, right? I don't think they would have made as many coaching changes if they loved how the team was kind of evolving, whether or not it was play calling or just improvement of players. How is this year different from the last couple years in terms of the interaction with the coaches and the energy between the coaches and the players, especially with so many new faces from the coaching side.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I think anytime that you have new people involved in it, and obviously we have new players all the time, so that's why the feel of the team is always changing. But from a coaching standpoint, when you have a change in coaching, it's a fairly major change because that's a different philosophy coming in. Even if the main philosophy stays the same, there's different point of views there. So, for example, us changing offensive line coaches, Coach Alexander sees it in a completely different way than Coach Pollock did. Neither of them is better than the other. It's just different. And for a veteran guy like me or some of the other guys on the line, it's great to have a different viewpoint on that because you get a chance to learn from that. But
does it fit? Does it fit? Because like one of the things Oakland went through, right? Oakland changed offensive line coaches going back to last year, or styles especially. And they went away from a power running game,
right?
And here they had the biggest offensive line in the league,
right?
And they're running more of like a zone scheme. And you're like, it doesn't fit, right? It's square peg round hole,
right?
What about the fit to how you want to play and this offensive line wants to play?
Yeah, it seems like it's been a good fit and it's sort of molded around us a little bit. I think that Coach Alexander has had experience doing some of the stuff that we've done before, a lot of the stuff we've done before, and just wants to impart a little bit of changes here and there. They're not big fundamental changes going from a zone game to a power game or something like that. It's more technical things and oftentimes it's, hey, here's an idea and something. Is this going to help you? No. Okay, we'll keep doing it the way you were. Or is this going to help you? Yes. Okay, now we've improved your game. So he's just trying to make all of us better.
We had Lyle Collins on with us earlier. Of course, last year he was filling in for Doug, who retired, and that was a change. Then Tyron gets hurt middle of the year, right? There's lots of little things. I think everybody points to the Zeke suspension. That was a big thing, don't get me wrong. Right. But there were other things. Your group, your offensive line that dominated football going back 2 years ago. Last year there's a little bit of instability. Does it feel like you fixed that?
I think our group is in a really good spot right now. I'm certainly happy with the way that we've progressed. I know that Lyle feels way more comfortable in his position at right tackle now, and I think that Tyron's been feeling better than he ever has before. So obviously we finally got Zach locked down on the right side, and we got a new guy coming in who's pretty talented and really wants to try really hard. So it's been good working with him because he just is absorbing as much information as possible, trying to be the best that he can be.
It's Doug Gottlieb Show, Fox Sports Radio, coming to you from beautiful Oxnard, California, side of the Dallas Cowboys training camp. Travis Fredrick is our guest. Okay, so off time, you go with the kiddos? Like, have you taken them? You got two, a 5-month-old. They go to the beach yet?
Yeah, we've been to the beach down by Ventura. It's beautiful over there, and it's a good opportunity for me to just get away from the football world a little bit, get my mind off it, and spend some time with the family.
You hop on a surfboard?
I tried surfing once. We played in Hawaii in college and tried to learn to surf. It was not for me.
Get a longboard. You'd love it. Get a longboard. Get somebody out there to teach you with a longboard. You'd hop on there. You'd feel like a completely new man. You want to take yourself into another place? That's what you do.
Yeah, I guess I need to learn that skill. I don't know if I have the balance required to be able to handle something like that. But that's the whole thing with a longboard. The longer the board, the less balance. Like literally anybody can hop on a longboard. You just need somebody to tell you, like, stand up here, paddle here, and stand up, and you're good to go. It would have to be a substantially longer board, longer board. The center position is interesting to me because you have all these things going on, and yet here in the preseason, the last thing you want is to get rolled up on. Right.
We saw the Cardinals, they lose their starting center to a torn ACL. Is there a way to protect against that? No,
there's no way to protect against that other than going hard and going full speed and keeping your feet moving. A lot of times you fall into unlucky situations in those, but I've found that the luckiest thing that you can do is keep your feet moving and continue to run on blocks and not stop. It's when you stop and your feet are planted that you get rolled up on.
Last year was an interesting year because Romo went right to the booth and everything was thrust upon Dak. Last year was his team, but now it's really, really his team. How's he responded?
I think he's done great. He's done a lot of work in the offseason, I know, to improve his throwing game and his throwing motion. And the way that he approaches it from a leadership aspect is really impressive. He's one of those guys that's just naturally born to be a leader, and guys naturally gravitate towards him. And then on top of that, when you put a psychology degree, he's able to kind of shift that and do the things that he wants and do the right things for the team on top of being naturally good at it.
All right, so last year you lose Romo to the booth.
Mm-hmm.
Then you lose Witten to the booth. Who's next? Who's the next guy to hop into the booth?
I don't know.
From your group.
We have like I said, we have a pretty young team.
Nobody's that long in the tooth.
Yeah, LP is probably the longest tenured guy here. I don't know how much the long snappers get in the booth, but he could certainly be a consultant. For sure.
I have heard that LP disappears in these golf outings and doesn't take anybody with him. Any accuracy to that?
I don't know necessarily.
I've heard he was down at Riviera playing with actors or something like that.
He loves to golf, and he's really good at golf. So I can't keep up with him, so I don't ever go out with him. I feel like I would really slow him down.
Is that the fallback, by the way? How come no center ends up becoming a long snapper like late in his career, right? Like that. I mean, I understand there's an art to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a total skill to it.
Yeah.
Again, like I actually think that'd be a super interesting kind of subculture reality show, which is like long snappers in the NFL. It sounds totally boring, but like, wait, all they have to do is long snap? That's it? Like, it's a lot harder than it looks.
Absolutely. There's so much more to it than people imagine, and along with the pressure that's on it as well. And you talk about kickers and punters, the pressure that's on those guys in the situations they're in, like that doesn't happen until the long snapper gets them the ball, and that's not an easy thing to do. And so the movement from center to long snapper is bad because centers usually are a little bigger, a little thicker, and the long snappers are generally more athletic, one, and two, flexible.
I like people that are inflexible. I'm terribly inflexible. I do yoga, but I'm inflexible. Last thing, most importantly, you went to Bigfoot High School. Is that real?
I did. Bigfoot High School.
What was the name of the nickname?
Well, we were named after a Native American chief, Bigfoot,
Chief Bigfoot.
from the area.
So it wasn't about Bigfoot, right?
It wasn't
all
about
like the Sasquatches.
The Sasquatches. No, we were the Bigfoot Chiefs.
Huh. How many people went to this high school?
About 530, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like you're lower, like southern Wisconsin, like almost on the border, right?
Yeah, my hometown literally has the Illinois state border goes through it.
Huh. So coldest game you ever played in high school?
In high school, we did play in a state semifinal game. Actually, no, it was a state championship game, and it was snowing. It was late November, so it was pretty chilly.
Was that colder? Any game at UW at Wisconsin? Because Wisconsin, you guys get done end of November,
right?
But like if you play Minnesota, you play in the Dome. I'm trying to think. Did you play? You didn't play against Minnesota when they played outdoors. No, that was a couple years ago.
We did. We played a couple outdoors, but it was never crazy. I think the coldest game I've ever been a part of was in Chicago. I think it was 2014. It was already negative, below zero temperatures, and then you had the wind chill onto it, and I heard it was like negative 20 or something like that.
Okay, so now we always hear that the bigger guys love that stuff. The difference is you have to hold on to the football.
Right.
What's that like?
It's difficult. When your hands start going numb, it makes it different to try and get that ball up there, and there is a little bit of feel there when the quarterback feels it, where it needs to be, so you definitely have to focus on that a little
more. Now, is there an art to like, just so you said there's art to long snapping, is there art to the shotgun snap, or is it just...
There is a little bit of art to it. You can ask different people how they do it. Everybody has a little different thought that goes through their mind while they're doing it. For me, my thought is back, not up. So you're not lifting it up to a quarterback, you're throwing it back to him. I flick my wrist a little bit. I've been coached not to do that. I've heard coaching points where your arm has to hit the same spot in your thigh every time. But it all depends on what you've done before and how you feel consistent moving forward.
Badgers have good enough quarterback play to win the Big Ten?
I think so. I'm excited to see those guys play this year because their offensive line is going to be monstrous. They have a great running game, obviously, and I think that they've improved all around.
Hornbeck, he was in the bowl game. I thought he was better than I thought throwing the football. There just seems to be at times a lack of accuracy when he throws it downfield. Like when he's 15, 20 yards and in, really, really good. It was sometimes throwing it downfield where they would go astray. And based upon how they've always played, you just can't turn the football over.
Exactly. Yeah. I think obviously you have so much time for growth. He's such a young kid that when he gets this extra year of growth here, I think that that's going to help him along.
All right, Travis, listen, congrats on the addition to the family since we last spoke. Best of luck this season. Most importantly, be healthy this preseason so we get to see all 17 games and maybe the playoffs for the Cowboys.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Travis Fredrick, Pro Bowler, All-Pro for the Dallas Cowboys, joining us.